Hey YouTube, how's it going? I'm back and I'm doing another 6-scale action figure review. Today I'm hitting off with another throwback from a few years ago. This is the Threezero Crysis Prophet 6-scale action figure. Now, I'm going to just say this right off the bat to start things off. I've had a number of Threezeros, big, bulky, sci-fi video game protagonist figures. They're Destiny, they're Doom Marine, and while some of them look pretty good, some of them just kind of look crappy. This one is by far the best one that they've come out with, period, at least in terms of utilizing the rubber bodysuit. The Doom Marine looked great, but his articulation was just shot, and the joints they used didn't really support his bulk or his weight. Whereas I'm going to go in here and start moving Crysis Prophet around real quick. Like that. Now, I don't know if you can hear that in camera, but those are tight ratchet joints. So no matter how I want to pose this guy, he's going to hold up just great. Great design, great architecture on this figure. And it looks good too. Now, I've never played the Crysis video games. I do intend to. I'm going to pick up the first one on the Nintendo Switch. So that's after I beat Sekiro, though. That's coming up. But I can't really dive too much into the lore of this. I know that Prophet here is the leader of the team that goes on this mission, and he's wearing this awesome super suit, essentially, which gives him the ability to go invisible, super strength, agility, speed, blah. You know, all that stuff that you'd probably want your first-person shooter protagonist to do in a video game. So, he's a really cool figure. I picked it up more so for the aesthetics and because he was actually in a combo set with another figure that I wanted. Some guy was selling it years ago, and I really wanted the other one. And this guy was included in the set. He wasn't splitting it, so I said, well, okay, I'll buy it. And when it got here, I was pretty shocked at how cool he is. Now, he is on a display base from another figure. He's borrowing it from Jason right now, actually. But he doesn't really need it to stand up. I just wanted to prevent tipping during this review. So let's hop into it. I'm going to straighten him out real fast. Take him out of the light box. Get him to stand upright. Attention. And we will go through and look at the aesthetics of this figure before I talk about its functionality. So, from the top, nice sculpted head sculpt, good paints. There's some definite wear up there on the helmet. The visor is a clear see-through plastic, although there is no visible head sculpt underneath. They sculpted and painted in that mesh detail, but it still works pretty well. It's fitting. Every fiber of every faux muscle looks great. You can see how some of their design is tailor-made to allow for better articulation and maybe sacrifice some of the aesthetics there. So, muscle suit going down all the way to the legs. This guy's huge. He's big and he's bulky, and like even compared to some newer Hot Toys figures like their BVS Batman or Superman, those are big muscular figures. This guy still has them beat in terms of bulk. He is huge. So let's go into articulation real quick, starting with the head sculpt. Not a lot of looking back you can really do. In fact, none at all. But you can get some down. And you can get to the side, It's on a ball joint, so it's going to do what you want it to do. You will see, though, as you fool around with that head sculpt, you're going to get some of the suit that likes to pop up on the back when you overdo it, like I did. Pop that head sculpt off. Super mitigatable. Just fold it underneath. Pop that back on. Make sure it's tucked under. And you can do a better job than I just did. However, sorry, his ankle popped off. Over the years, this figure has gotten some looser ankle joints. Sad to say. You can do a better job than I just did, but I just wanted to fold it back in there quickly. So, shoulders, you'll see this is a looser piece of rubber up here so as to not inhibit the shoulder articulation. So that's on a ratchet, goes out there, put that back down, goes up, double jointed elbows is great. There's also a swivel up in there, and your standard 6-scale wrist joint. Is that a standard 6-scale wrist joint, or is it it's just a ball joint? So that's great. Basically what you're going to see on the ankles of most 6-scale figures is what this guy has in his wrist, which is fine because his hand is about the size of most 6-scale feet. So let's get him all set up. There, back on the base. Tons of range of motion with the abs there, back forward, and then there's some cut right there in the waist as well. So I'm trying to keep this guy from falling over, and my setup right now isn't really ideal. So I'll make things more comfortable so I can do reviews better in this spot that I'm in, but for now, this is what it is. You'll see that the butt follows what the shoulders did and the hips right here, where it's just a complete separate cut away from the ball joint, or on real people it's a ball joint at your hip socket, to allow for great range of motion in the legs. So out, double jointed knees, but even so you're going to max out at about 90 degrees, which for a figure like this, 90 degrees is still great. Pull that out. It goes out pretty well. Those are tight ball joints, so I'm not going to make him do the splits, or tight ratchet joints, I should say. There we go. And then the ankles are on a ball joint, so you get tons of range of motion. You can really get him some nice deep stances. As far as accessories go, let's take this out of his tightly gripped right trigger finger. He comes with this gun, which is pretty cool. The back stock doesn't really move. I don't think the sights move on it at all, but it's just covered in that classic Threezero weathering, so it definitely looks like it's seen a battlefield. And you can also slide on that little grenade launcher. So that looks great. The only other accessory he has, and I'm excited to play the game for this reason, because I've heard that this is, bar none, one of the most satisfying accessories. Let me get it out real quick. It's in a little baggie over here. Bar none, one of the most satisfying accessories you can use in a video game. It's one of their favorite weapons. So, here. He comes with his bow that he uses in game. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to give that a try. All these strings here are doing real plastic, or a little cloth material, so he will really fire this arrow out. I'm not going to do it in here. And he comes with 3 arrows. So, that's that. He also comes with 2 trigger fingers, 1 right relaxed hand, 1 left arrow hand, which I usually keep on because it also makes for a decent gun, holding hand, or to rest the front of the gun in that hand while he fires, unless he's going Rambo and shooting it off with one hand. Then a couple of fists, and that's really about it. So let's start getting into some conclusions. Is this figure worth your picking up? Well, depends on how much you like the Crysis video game, or how much you anticipate liking it, I guess, in my case. How much you just like the aesthetics of the suit. It looks really good. It's an awesome looking figure. Culturally, Crysis was a big enough video game to have a, does it run on Crysis? That was a meme from the early aughts. Or can it run Crysis, I guess. It looks good. So if you're a fan, absolutely. Go ahead, hunt down this figure. If you just want to see, as an aficionado of 6-scale architecture and ingenuity, this figure is great for that also. Because what Threezero did here is super impressive. And it's really disappointing that Threezero couldn't keep this same level of quality up for their Doom Marine, which just suffers from, they used a different type of rubber, the ratchet joints weren't as strong, so, the Doom Marine, he's not really going to get these cool action poses. And let me just try to pose them up for you real quick here to show you what I'm talking about. Here, can you hear those tight? Yeah, this guy's not going to go anywhere. He will hold whatever pose you put him in. There. Get something. You can get him in a real good bow holding pose. There. Just something like that. That is a quick pose up, and he probably won't want to stay there. Stands just fine. Boom. Quick little pose up. It's a great figure. And if Threezero could have done this for their Doom Marine, who's probably a more popular character, that would be an even better figure. But as it stands, this is the only one of their armored up video game characters that they really took the time to just nail. So it's disappointing, but it works out great. Threezero knocked this guy out of the park. So yeah, if you're a huge Crysis fan, we're probably not going to ever get any 6-scale figures from that game ever again. So this is really the only one. If you're a fan, you need something on your shelf from that title. You got some good memories playing it. Maybe it's nostalgia. Absolutely. I can recommend this piece. It's going to hold up really well over time. I always have him in super dynamic poses just because he looks really cool posed up dynamically on the shelf. That bicep, it looks like it's flexing as he holds that gun. Just your classic action hero looking kind of guy. So I'm about it. I suggest it. But if there's any other questions that you have that I missed in this review, feel free to leave me a comment down below. I'd love to get a dialogue going, answer any questions that I might have foregone. Otherwise, stay happy, stay healthy, and keep on collecting. Bye-bye.